Hello YouTube, my name's Sean Collins and welcome back to The Outsiders. From this point on, my show is going to be focusing on reviews primarily, and it's going to be either board game or RPGs. This is the first board game I've ever reviewed at any point that my channel has been up and running, and this board game is Pandemic. It was kindly donated to me by Shadow Games, and I was given the opportunity on Tabletop Day in their shop to try this game out several times. In fact, we've played this game about half a dozen times so far. What I love about the game is designed for 2 to 4 players. It runs at it's a nice sweet spot time period for a family, which is between 45 minutes and an hour and 15 minutes per game. Seems to work very, very well. I think the game works best, although it's supposed to be okay to use for 2 to 4 players. I think it works best for around about 3 to 4. 4 is obviously the optimum, the perfect number, and fits it very well. It's a lot of fun because you either all win or you all lose. It's a collaborative game. What I like most about it is the fact that every player plays a specialist. Your job as a team is to try to tackle 4 major pandemics that have broke out across the world, and to try to find the cures necessary to quash those pandemics and basically win the game. But there are several ways that you can actually lose the game, which is quite interesting. What I thought at the beginning was going to be, when I first heard about this game, was that it was going to be easy for experienced players to pick the role that they wanted and combine the best ones. And obviously, maybe the mechanics weren't strong enough to create that sense of urgency, that sense of fear, that sense of impending doom. But they've done it. Matt Leacock, who developed the game, and whoever his design team were, have done a fantastic job at this, because it gets increasingly more fun the longer the game goes on, and it gets tense. And we've played it about half a dozen times now, with all the infections in the game, and there is 6 that you can put in the deck. Apparently that's meant to be incredibly difficult to win. I now know and understand why, and we've only won twice out of 6 occasions as a collective group, i.e. using all our brain power. We've only won twice out of 6 times. I kind of think that's pretty good, actually. And says a lot about how good the game is. You don't get to select the role you want. It's picked randomly, which is lovely, and the mechanics encourage you to have to move around the board, so it's quite difficult to actually coordinate exactly how you want things to go, which again is brilliant. And the way that the outbreaks work and intensify can be pretty scary, and you can quickly lose the game. And that's one of the brilliant things about it. So I think for the second part of this video, what we should do is have a really good look at the game in a little bit of depth and cover off some of the basics about it. So why don't you join me in the second part of this video, and we'll have a little look. Thank you. So the first thing I'm going to do when I set the game up, I'm going to put the outbreak marker on it. That starts at 0 here. Now what an outbreak is that, let's say for example Bagata here, the most an area can have is 3 outbreak cubes in it. Say Bagata was hit again. It can't hold more than 3, so it spreads, it outbreaks. So an outbreak means that every area attached to it, i.e. where the lines run, 1 cube will immediately appear. The spread of the infection has begun. And that's basically what it would look like. It would spread out, and the outbreak marker would move on 1. So that's how outbreaks actually work, but it starts here at 0. So let's... Oh, you'd also lose the game if it reaches this point here in red, the red skull and crossbones. You get 8 outbreaks, the game automatically ends. So we'll put that on the board. Now the other thing that starts on the board as well is these are the various cures you're looking to find. You're looking to find a black cure, a blue cure, a red cure, and a yellow cure. You can make up names for these diseases, none is given. When you've removed all the cubes from the board, so let's say there was some cubes here, and you had found 5 cards of a particular colour, because that's really what it means. So let's say for example, let's find 5 yellow, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if you've collected 5 cards and followed what the game says, you can then cash those in, discard them, and invent a cure. Now that means that moves forward. If you have no yellow, they've all been eradicated from the board, you've taken them off, no yellow on the board, no more yellows can ever appear. You have now effectively eradicated that from mankind, it's gone. You need to find 4 cures. You don't need to eradicate everything, but if you find 4 cures, you win the game. So that's why you place those on the board, and that's how it works to find a cure. So the other thing that I would next set up is over here we have an infection rate. Now the infection rate, you may not be able to see it on the camera, but it starts at 2, stays at 2 twice more, but eventually reaches 3 cards and eventually reaches 4 cards. And what that means is that every turn you get 2 of these you have to pull. Let's put them on, 2 infection deck cards. These are the player cards. You get 2 player cards every turn and 2 infection cards. However, if that reaches 3, you then have to draw 3 of those cards. So you can see it gets more and more serious. And the final step that you have to do to set the game up is put what the current infections are out. Now the way that this works is really, it's the first 3 cards, which is Delhi, Karachi and Jakarta, start with 3 cubes in them each. What I'll do, just for ease, I'll bring this box across. 3 cubes in Delhi, 3 cubes in Karachi, 3 cubes in Jakarta, which is kind of all quite close together, which is a little worrying. And then the next 3 cards are 2s. So we've got 2 in Milan, 2 in Miami, and 2 in Santiago. So 2 in Miami, 2 in Santiago, and 2 in Milan. And my knowledge of geography has suddenly eluded me. I know where it is, but why can't I see it? Milan, Madrid, Milan. There we go, couldn't see it for looking. So that's those. Then we have 3 singles. We have 1 in Los Angeles. This is a bit worrying, it's all together. 1 in Los Angeles, 1 in Seoul, back over here, which is there. And then finally 1 in Montreal, which is... Come on, Sean, there. Thank you. So that's all the infection cubes out to start the game. They stay there. That pile stays there. It's very important. Now, let's start a little game off. I'll put my manpower on. You'll notice that the tokens I'm bringing on, so there's a research centre that starts in Atlanta. Always is. Colour cards reflect the people I've got, so purple and brown. They'll start together in Atlanta. I'm not going to play their special abilities or use any real skill here, but I just want to illustrate some movement and take you through at least 1 or maybe 2 quick turns. So I'm going to start with the researcher and just do something pretty basic without being too clever. I'm going to take a move and move down to Miami. That's 1 move. Remove 1 cube, that's 2 moves. Remove the 3rd cube is 3 moves, and move back to Atlanta for 4 moves. So those 2 cubes have gone. So eradicated that. And now I get to draw. I can hold in my hand 7 of these cards. I've got 4 to start, so I get 2 more. I've got a nice little event card. The event cards are pretty unique because they do something very special, but we won't touch on those here in this quick run through. And now this is what I was hoping would come up. We've got an epidemic straight away. This is quite serious. Now what happens here is move the infection rate. It just shows you the steps on the card. Move the infection rate marker forward 1 space. That's the infection rate. Moves across. Infect. Draw the bottom card from this deck, and that gets 3 cubes in it, which is Chetna. Gets 3 cubes in it. That's 3 more black cubes of Black Death in Chetna, which is kind of not good. And that all looks very close. It is very close together. This is actually quite worrying already. And then the final thing is that these cards intensify. So basically what happens is shuffle the cards in the infection pile and put them on top of the infection deck. So they go back on top in a random order, and this card goes to discard. Now this person also must now take 2 of those cards, and it's reinfection time. And I got 1 to go in Milan. You only get 1 cube, but it's serious. That's Milan. We got away with that. It's up to 3, so we were lucky it didn't outspill. And I've got to take 1 more card, which is Jakarta, which is a nightmare. Now that has overspilled, so now what we've got is an outbreak. So this moves forward 1, and the outbreak. We get 1 go to Ho Chi Minh, 1 go to Sydney, 1 go to Bangkok, and 1 comes up here to Chetna. Although they're different colours, you can have different colours existing in the same area. But fortunately, it has an outbreak again. So that's my first move made. We've got a serious problem over there, and we know that because those cards are going to come straight back in the pile, we've got a problem. So I want to get my dispatch. I can move another player's pawn as if it were your own. As an action, move any pawn to a city with another pawn. Well, I think the first thing we need to do is I need to get over there fast. So I've got Istanbul is probably the closest. I can do an airlift, move any 1 pawn to any 1 city, get them a mission first. Yeah, let's use the airlift. And as the dispatcher, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get myself out there. So one move, I'm going to go straight to tricky decision because they're all coming up again. I'm going to go straight to Delhi, and I'm going to spend my other 3 moves to eradicate the problem in Delhi to start the process of curing off. So those have gone. So that's the dispatcher's gone. He gets 2 cards. Oh, God's sake. Another epidemic and San Francisco. So we've got this as well is a nightmare because you know what's coming. So move the infection rate forward 1. Infect, bottom card, comes up. And it's Tehran. It couldn't be any worse really. Tehran, put 3 cubes on Tehran. And let's whack that out there. Tehran. Nice, very nice. Then those 3 cards, of which 2 are going to come back, go back on their random. That card goes there, and he's got to pick 2 of these as well. And it's Tehran again, so we know what's going to happen. That's going to intensify an outbreak. And we've got to put some counters off that. We've got 1 come to Delhi, 1 come to Correctional, which is Nightmare. It can't. That means that explodes as well. Going to come back to that. 1 to Baghdad. 1 to Moscow. There's another outbreak here, so that moves to 3 that quickly. That spreads again, so that's going to spread back that way. Back 1 over here. One over here. 1 over here, and then it would actually spread back to... Oh no, it wouldn't spread back to Tehran because it's where it spread from. So those are all the areas that have been affected by Karachi. So you can see how that's actually quickly intensified and what's happened with the outbreak out there. And he's still got 1 more card to take, and it's Jakarta. And we know that's another problem. So already, very quickly, this game's really turning ugly as we've got another quick outbreak of... I just hope we don't get any more. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're quickly losing control of the game here. And that just shows you 2 very, very quick turns. Apologies about that. 2 very, very quick turns in the game and actually what can happen. Good luck in that game of trying to put that problem down. Anyway, I've been Sean Connors. This has been all about Pandemic, giving you a quick overview of how the turns work. I look forward to your thoughts, your feedback and your comments. Take care of yourselves. Until next week. See you then. Bye-bye.